I'm delighted to welcome today Denise Stevenson, who is based in France and is a breast cancer survivor with a difference. You've done some amazing things to help people, Denise, since your diagnosis in 2017. So welcome to the podcast, and let's crack on with finding out a bit more about your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So 2017, you had breast cancer. Can you identify what led up to it, and do you know why, on reflection, of course, why you got breast cancer?
Absolutely. I was just actually looking at a paragraph that I wrote in 2018, just reminding myself as to where it came from. I'm just going to read it because it says it far better than I can off the hoof. I was a classic type C person. I was vulnerable. I'd lived through a recent trauma, which was my mother's sudden death. I'd had a root canal in recent months. I was premenopausal, stressed, tired, carrying unforgiveness in my heart, had low vitamin D levels, was not exercising enough, not eating properly, consuming way too much dairy and sugar, going through a lifestyle change as my older girls left the nest, sleeping next to a Wi-Fi router, putting too many chemicals in my body, having CT scans to monitor cholesterol deposits and mammograms yearly. And I think that sort of, I was a classic, absolute classic. And sure enough, within a year of my mother's sudden death, breast cancer.
It's remarkable, isn't it? All of the things that you've just read out, they are all considered normal now. Having mammograms, eating dairy, everything we have is processed, full of sugar, etc., etc. And we've been, when we say we, kind of society has been led along the garden path to think that all of this stuff is perfectly normal. And anybody who changes that view, we're peculiar, we're the odd ones, but we're the ones that are awake now because of our experience. So why did you write your book? Just wave your book in front of the screen. So for those people,
I will. It's we connected about a week or so ago. Aerobics in a week, and that's what I did. That was part of what I did to heal. I wrote the book. It was my journal, actually. And it started off, and it was a way of processing words that I couldn't verbalize, feelings that I couldn't explain, frustrations that were way too strong to really express in any other way. It was my safe place. It was my record. It was my haven, really. It was my way of just expressing these emotions that I had that ranged from fear and shock, confusion, frustration, many of the things that people feel when they're given a diagnosis and told that they need to have radical surgery. And it kind of went on from there.
So what treatment did you have? What surgery did you have, Denise?
Okay, well, when I was diagnosed, I had a 5 centimetre HER2 positive tumour in my left breast. And I was told that I'm quite small-chested. I was told that it was too extensive to save my breast and that I would need a mastectomy. After digesting that, I'm president of a church. I have a deep faith, which was really my anchor and my rock through all of this. And I just went off, and the church prayed with me. And I absolutely had a word from God that would not be the case, that would not touch my body. That was the dream that I had. And sure enough, I never had the mastectomy. I did start chemotherapy from huge pressure from my husband and my family. And within 3 months, that 5 centimetre tumour had disappeared. I had a clear MRI, and at that point, I walked in the face of the medical establishment and refused any more chemotherapy. It was a very, very difficult time, pressure, fear really from my family, my friends, my church, all of whom were just scared that I was going to die because that's what I was being told. But no, I absolutely felt that, you know, God would protect me, and that all the changes that I'd made with regard to my diet, my whole schedule changed. I prioritised self-care. I fasted around each chemotherapy session. I didn't touch sugar or dairy or meat. I was piling vitamins into me. I was exercising, hence the aerobics. And I was doing everything that I possibly could to bring my body back to health. So quit the chemotherapy halfway through, was pressured into radiotherapy, which was horrendous, and walked away from that halfway through, and pressured into Herceptin, taking Herceptin because I had a hormonally positive tumour. And after 5 of those 18 injections, when my heart was being seriously damaged by it, I walked away from the hospital completely. Am I a renegade? No. I did all of that with, you know, MRIs and CT scans to back up the fact that the tumor and the cancer had gone. And for me, I wasn't concerned about mopping up, you know, free-ranging cells. I was going to do that with self-care and diet and exercise. And that was 4 years ago.
Wonderful. Great story, great experience. So lovely to see you blooming and glowing. Anybody who looks at you can see, you know, how you're glowing, and people say the same about me as well. And I think there's an inner strength that people like us have. And interesting to hear you say about the pressure from friends, family, church, etc. It's other people's fear that can cause so much difficulty. And I say to people who I mentor through this situation, just you're going to have to realize that your job now is to get yourself fixed. You've got inner strength, you're stronger than you ever know, and the strength comes from within inside of you, and you're a walking testimony that that's the case despite all the pressure that you have. The number of people that I've mentored who said, I was pressured to have this or that treatment because of my family and you know, friends, etc. And although they're well-meaning, they don't know anything about you and your inside and your inner strength. So for me it's the inner strength that really pulls us through. But also people who don't have inner strength, it's the thing that can potentially lead to disaster for them. So well done you. Now moving on, you had a you said that you created you wrote your journal, which you turned into a book, Aerobics in a Wig, which is available from Amazon, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or through following on from the book, I published that and was able to share my story with many people. But for me, this wasn't just about cancer. This was about way more, as yourself, Elaine, it's a health and wellness experience. And for me, I wanted to broaden what I was doing. So last year, called, and the idea behind that is I had cancer at 50, and I have full intention of reaching my 00, my 100 years in good health. So that's where the name comes from. But through that site as well, you can order the book, and obviously it'll be cheaper than doing it through Amazon. I can send it directly in. So there's a contact form on the website, and if anyone does want a copy, just send me an email, you know, through the website, and I'll get one in the post to them.
That's fabulous. I was about to say that
this is my website.
we don't have a very good connection. I'm hoping we'll be able to continue, but I'm struggling a bit this end, so I hope this is coming out all right. 00, the website, and it's the words, isn't it? _, behaviour0.org.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Marvellous. And I was about to say that I wish we didn't have to deal with Amazon and these other big corporations, and you've answered the question already. It's the book's available on the website.
Yes, definitely. It's an interesting one. I don't actually, there's a massive cancer resource on the website, and my testimony is on the website, and you can find the book through there. But I was uncomfortable about actually featuring my book on the website because I want it to be a general resource with all kinds of cancer information in there. But you can definitely, you just fill in the contact form, pop your address on there, and I'll put a copy in the post.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you
mentioned to share what I've learned.
Excellent. You mentioned you're president of a church. So how much do you think your faith has played in your recovery?
Huge, absolutely key. I think from the support of the church community, that's a massive factor in healing from disease, having that love and support from people. But no, really my faith was my rock. And I know Kelly Turner talks about faith in radical remission as being one of the key factors. I absolutely believed that I would get better. As the doctors were saying to me, you will die if you do not have this mastectomy. You will die if you do not take Herceptin. I just completely railed against that because I knew I wouldn't. I knew that my husband actually said to me, God's not done with you yet. And I think for me, that was just a real confirmation. And I absolutely felt that I went for tests, and rogue cancer cells that they'd seen on scans had disappeared. The tumour had disappeared within 3 months, which doesn't make any sense at all. I've never felt closer to God than through that experience, because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I was just stripped down. I had no hair. I weighed 44 kilograms. I had an abscess in my tooth where they'd put a root canal in. I was at my absolute weakest I've ever been in my life, but God was stronger than ever, and he just carried me through. Absolutely.
Brilliant. I also kicked stage 4 cancer in 14 weeks. And I think people who are determined and strong from the inside out, it's like nothing can touch us.
No.
Because we know that we're going to survive. I've got all tingly now speaking to you.
Me too. Me too. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah. The words.
But it is true.
Yeah. The words that you said just now, from the doctors. You know, you will die if you don't do this. You will die if you do. That's what I was told as well. And my daughter was with me when I had my stage 4. I'd had 2 previous breast cancers, and this stage 4 was Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I remember sitting there. My daughter said, because she knows that I'm into, complementary, lots of natural things, and she said to the specialist, "What happens if Mum's herbally burbly stuff doesn't work?" And all I remember the specialist saying is, well, this was July in 2015. So the specialist said, if Mum doesn't do as I'm suggesting and recommending, she will be very ill by Christmas and she won't make the year. Well, I didn't hear that bit. All I heard was, Mum will be very ill by Christmas. So obviously 6 months. So I didn't hear anything else. And it wasn't until the following February, I said to my daughter, how long did she say I'd got? She said less than a year. It's so interesting. I switched off. So I came away dazed, stunned, rabbit in the headlights. And then it's like, how dare they tell me I'm in control of me? There's no way. So everybody else is falling apart around me and I'm solid. And I started writing a blog. So you wrote a journal. I wrote a journal when I had my first breast cancer, which I turned into a book as well, which was I did have a mastectomy and I was frightened into it, and I did have I rejected chemo, but I did have some radiation on my second breast cancer, frightened into it. So all along, you know, everything that happens to us happens for a reason. So I can identify with everything that people go through, whether it's chemo, radiation, drugs, blah, 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 natural, because we've been there and we've done that. And that's what makes your site powerful, because you're, even though, as you mentioned, you're not medically qualified, I'm not medically qualified, but I'm a trained nutritionist now and a biohacker, and I have done some training on the body and so on and so forth. But when you speak from personal experience, you can empathize with people in a way that's not condescending.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will never tell anybody what to do. I will never tell anybody what to do. It's their body, it's their choice. I think for me, the 00 website is about collating the information that I've learned, because there is so much information out there from medical professionals that are saying the same things, and just point them towards that information so that they can make their own choices. You know, it's our body, it should be our choice. And when you're presented with just part of the choices, and I know the 1939 Cancer Act restricts people hugely in what they're allowed to say, but there's so many resources, there's so many peer-reviewed medical research studies on PubMed, on Green Med Info. There are thousands of them out there. You know, why aren't we told to take vitamin D? Why aren't we told to take turmeric? Why aren't we told to take ginger, green tea? All of these things are protective for our bodies. They're not expensive, they're not difficult. Why aren't we doing this?
Well, you've just answered the question. They're not expensive. They don't have patents. They don't have huge amounts of money for Big Pharma to make. And it's the case of follow the money. And not many people realise that when hospitals give chemotherapy, they are paid by the drug companies to push the chemotherapy. I remember on a follow-up hospital visit, I was walking across to come out of the appointment, and this lady leapt over. She said, "Oh, Elaine, it's me," blah blah. You know, Sim said her name, and I'd been helping her with her journey. And I said, "Oh, you know, you're looking bright and, you know, bouncy and everything." She said, "Oh, I've just had some good news." She said, "I've just signed up to chemotherapy." My heart sank. I could have thrown up on the spot. I said, "I thought you were clear. I thought we were celebrating you're clear." "Oh yes," she said, "but I've been told that if I sign up to chemotherapy, the hospital gets X so many thousand, which I can help more people." And I just said, I'm really sorry, I have to go. And I couldn't speak to the woman. I was just so upset that, you know, she was likely to, you know, have a real serious problem. And suffice to say, she's no longer with us, but she had a clear scan.
One of the first books that a lady who is a medical professional sent me from New Zealand was Mum's Not Having Chemo by Laura Bond.
I haven't heard that one.
Sorry?
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, I'll just get it. It's right here. No, it's called You Can Say No to Chemo.
Okay. Great, lovely.
And that's on the website as well. That's by a lady called Laura Bond. And I didn't realise that chemotherapy has a 2.1% success rate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but on any other thing in life, you would not bet on a 2.1% success rate.
No.
Elaine, you didn't have chemotherapy, did you?
Not for breast cancer, no, but I did have it for Hodgkin's lymphoma, my stage 4, and I had it on my terms. And that was because I'd done my research, and as you rightly say, 2.1% on all cancers except blood cancers and lymph cancers, where it's 81%. Okay, so I was prepared to do the 81% on the basis that I was in control and I was checked regularly, and the minute I wanted, I was out of there. So like you, I only had 3 sessions, I didn't lose my hair. I was on a huge dosage of THC cannabis oil. I was taking oxygen therapy, all the food things, nutrition, and everything that you did as well.
It's interesting.
Exercise.
Talking about THC, when I was first diagnosed, I made a couple of calls. I called the girl's godmother, who's a church leader, who instantly just prayed with me. And another call I made was to a friend's daughter, who's a naturopath on Harley Street in London. And she gave me some very sage advice, brands of vitamins to use, what particular vitamins she would recommend. And she laughed and she said, my friend's uncle has just healed from stage 4 cancer, don't know what type of cancer, with smoking cannabis all day. And she said, she laughed, she went, you're president of a church, you're not going to do that. And I really smiled to myself 6 months later when I'm in our local parapharmacy here, buying cannabis sativa oil across the counter because it's legal here in France, and massaging it onto my tumour. I just really smiled to myself as to what a journey I've been on, because I know it's safe and it's natural, and there are hundreds of studies that show it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was just such a massive learning curve, and I think it has changed my life completely. I am way healthier than I was before I had cancer.
Me too, absolutely. And
I mean, you look amazing.
Thank you. Well, I feel I'm over here in Portugal, and alongside the health mentoring that I do online, I'm here to support my friend who's got 3 amazing projects on the go. We're creating communities where people can come and live live in wooden houses. We've got a hydroponic grow facility that's in progress. We've got 2 different sites that we're planning to build on, in a eco-friendly, sustainable, everything will be there on the site, as it were. So it's about blending communities so older people can mentor and support younger people. We're planning to have a forest school and so on and so forth. So everything is going to be natural, within forest type of setting and so on, and growing our own food. So you've also done some counselling and psychotherapy work. So tell us about that, Denise.
Yes, it's when my eldest daughter was born, we'd made the decision for me to be an at-home mum. And in my wisdom, with a toddler, I decided to do the training for the Samaritans, and found it a very rewarding experience, absolutely heart-wrenching, tragic stories, but to be able to be at the end of the telephone and just listen to people and for them to thank you for your help when all you'd actually done was give them your time was just a real awakening for me. The power of speech, the power of non-verbal communication came later because we saw clients one-on-one as well, and was just fascinated really, and it ties in so beautifully with the work that I do at the church, because a lot of that is listening and helping and supporting people. And I've done some training at Middlesex University, and I did a year here in France a few years ago, and actually stopped doing the training to start a church over here. So we started an English-speaking church in 2015 in Toulouse, and a week before lockdown we started another English-speaking church up here in the Tarn where I live, which is small. We have about 20 people. But we made it through the confinement and the lockdown time, and it was a great support for people and continues to be a great support for people. It's been really hard here. I'm not sure whether you have your family around you in Portugal, but I don't have mine here.
No.
And it's just been so hard to spend a year apart from 2 of my children. I think that the counselling training has sort of stood me in good stead to help and support other people who've been going through the same thing here as well. And of course, we know it all ties in with our health. You know, there's a section on the website for mental health. So it's split into sections, you know, healthy body, healthy mind, nutrition, recipes, and sustainability. Because there's absolutely no point us being healthy if we don't have a healthy planet, because we haven't got anywhere to be healthy on. And the two are just intrinsically linked. I'm learning more and more about how a plant-based diet helps our environment. And I think, you know, if we're going to carry on with the huge numbers of livestock that we have on the planet, we've got some real issues to face.
I think that's been taken care of by Mr. Gates. He's buying up land, and I don't think he's going to be putting any animals on there. And when you see how the animals are treated in the dairy, in these massive herds, in the, you know, 1,000 cows in a thing, somebody said to me the other day that, did you know that cows actually can milk themselves with the machinery and so on? They go into these little cubicles, and the things are attached to the udders are clean, the things get attached, they get milked, and then they walk through. They don't see a human being. There's one person managing the screens on the computer. There's no herds of people, and that's 1,000 cows. So I think it's quite scary.
These recent viruses that have you know, travelled around our planet have been mostly traced back to animal interaction. You know, the avian flu, the swine flu, you know, they were all originated through contact with animals, and we are giving animals so many. I think I read last week that 80% of the antibiotics in the States are used on animals,
which we then consume.
Yes. Well, I don't.
Yeah. No, I don't. I mostly no.
I did.
Yeah. I have organic, very rarely organic chicken. I eat eggs from the local person here, you know, in the village and so on. But no, it's very important to have a clean diet, very clean diet.
Yes, I mean, there's an American doctor, Dr. Mark Hyman, who talks about it's the source of our meat, it's the quality of our meat, and exactly. Grass-fed beef has nothing in common with factory-produced beef. It's all about quantity and quality, and we absolutely need to make some changes, because what we are doing is unsustainable. We're emptying the oceans of fish and replacing it with plastic, and we're just destroying our planet. Yeah.
It's not all animal related though. All of the viruses that you mentioned, actually, I have to disagree with you on that. They're not animal related. That's the social media, not, you know, mainstream media story, but they were all man-made, as the present viruses going around are man-made in laboratories, and they've given names to things. So, but there we are. That's another story. We're not here to talk about.
As you say, it's you just don't know what to believe on mainstream media.
Well, the best thing is to switch it off. I haven't watched TV or bought newspapers in 25 years, and I don't plan to now. So nothing you believe, you know, nothing you can read. What is it? Something like half of don't believe what you see, and only half of what you hear, or the other way around. I can't think what it is, but question everything. In other words, question everything and do your own research. And people, as you say, need to make their own choices, their own decisions. I always tell people to follow their intuition, as I do, and your intuition saved you. My intuition has saved my life more than once. And
definitely, if I hadn't followed my intuition, I would absolutely have had a mastectomy. I would have a recurrent heart issue because they wanted to put me on beta blockers to continue with the Herceptin treatment. I have a healthy heart. They wanted to put me on statins about 40 years ago because I have hereditary hypercholesterol. I'm not on any medication at all. and they wanted to remove all my lymph nodes. So I possibly would have had lymphedema.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here today with you as you are, in excellent health. It just makes me sad, Elaine. Just makes me sad.
It is sad, but we have to use our experience to rise above the sadness to help other people, so it doesn't happen to other people. Sadly, a lot of the people that I mentor end up finding me too little too late. So there's a limit to what we can do. However, there's still lots people can do to extend and improve the quality of their life, even if they do have a dire diagnosis. And I'm sure people who've gone onto your site double-zero.org, they will also be very grateful to all the experience and everything that you've shared. So do feel free to post anytime, Denise, on my group, Perfect Health Wellness Club in Facebook.
Well, if it's okay with you, Elaine, I do a weekly blog and I'll just share it to you.
Please do. Yes.
Thank you.
That would be fabulous. Thank you. So just to say again, your website is double-zero.org. Your book is Aerobics in a Wig, and you've got various different resources on that site, including purchasing your book. And it sounds as though you've really got your life in order and everything's in balance, and that is another key thing, and well, a major key, isn't it? Balance in everything.
It is. Well, thank you, and I'm so glad I found you and all your community and the work that you do too. We're all saying the same things.
Yes.
For me, it's just prevention is better than cure. And as you say, the sooner we can get to people, the sooner people start making these changes, the better their lives will be.
Indeed. Okay, well, thank you very much, Denise Stevenson, for talking to me today, and look forward to watching and listening to the replay.
You, me too.
Take care. Bye-bye.